So we are reading Zero Limits by Joe Vitale and Dr. Hugh Lin. We are on page 5 of the book.
And page 5 of the PDF. Self-identity through Ho'oponopono, being 100% responsible for the problems of my clients.
So Shimangla, you have to come closer to your mic, please. Your voice is cracking. Okay, so this is very, very important. Okay, so being 100% responsible for the problems of my clients. So this is the essence of self-identity, identity through Ho'oponopono. Because anything, ultimately he'll come to this, that anything that comes into his awareness, he is 100% responsible for. Because it is reflecting in his field, he becomes responsible for that. So he needs to clear that. Basically, that's the essence of this particular statement.
In traditional approaches to problem solving and healing, the therapist begins with the belief that the source of the problem is within the client, not within him. He believes that his responsibility is to assist the client in working through his problem. Could these beliefs have resulted in systemic burnout throughout the healing profession?
So what is he talking about? He is saying that under normal traditional psychotherapy sessions, under that, the psychotherapist believes or thinks that the problem is in the client and his job is only to assist the client to get out of the issue that he is grappling with.
To be an effective problem solver, the therapist must be willing to be 100% responsible for having created the problem situation. That is, he must be willing to see that the source of the problem is erroneous thoughts within him, not within the client. Therapists never seem to notice that every time there is a problem, they are always present.
So what does this imply? That if there is a problem, when you are aware of a problem, okay, you are always present, either mentally or physically, right? So if you are always present, whenever you become aware of the problem, so that means you are a part of the problem. So it becomes your duty to be responsible for the problem because you are a part of the problem. Shivangla, you have to come close. Your voice is cracking.
Being 100% responsible for actualizing the problem allows the therapist to be 100% responsible for resolving it. Using the updated Ho'oponopono approach, a process of repentance, forgiveness, and transmutation developed by Kahuna Lapa Morna Nalamaku Simeona, a therapist is able to have erroneous thoughts within himself and within the client transmuted into perfect thoughts of love.
So when the therapist becomes 100% responsible and he accepts that he is part of the problem, then there is a resonance in his field and the problem. So when he starts clearing his own field, due to the resonance effect, the actual problem also starts to get sorted out. Because he's transmuting the thoughts which are depleting or not the uplifting or the correct thoughts within himself into love. So what is he doing? He is transferring within himself his thoughts from the left side to the right side of the grid. And as soon as you do that, the problem gets sorted out.
But that means every time a patient comes, he has to feel everything.
So the point is that this is the process by which he has been treating the patients, right? Now, what is normal? What is the doctor doing? The doctor is giving a medication or doing a therapy, and the patient is responsible. in this process, let's go ahead in it to understand the entire process more. Let's not look at it with blinkers in our eyes, which is the normal method of what we normally see how a patient and doctor relationship manifests. Okay, this is a totally different way of looking at it. So let's delve a little into it, and then the clarity will start coming as to why he's talking about that and how it actually manifests. Okay, Asha aunty, being a doctor, I can understand from where you're coming that today if any patient comes, I am responsible. Why is that? This is a trigger which is triggering in you. So hold on to that trigger for the time being.
Hey,
Her eyes brim with tears. Deep trenches enclose the corners of her mouth. I am worried about my son. Cynthia sighs softly. He's back on drugs again. As she tells her painful story, I begin the cleaning of the erroneous thoughts within me that have actualized as her problem.
So now what is happening? As soon as he hears something, he starts cleaning his field because those erroneous thoughts are in him and they have a resonance with the problem that is occurring with the son of the patient. So when he starts clearing himself, automatically the son will start to get affected. So see, in everything literally that we are doing, right? Resonance is coming up all the time. It's all the time coming up. Today, even if your medication you're taking, a lot of it is when it works, it is due to resonance. Today, homeopathy is totally based on resonance, right? When you're taking Ayurveda medicines, a lot of it is to do with resonance. Because when you're churning, you're chanting a mantra while you're churning. That resonance of that mantra goes into the medication. And then when you have it, the resonance of that medication goes into you. When you're chanting, there's a resonance which is created. So resonance is totally built into all the systems, whether you like it or not.
As erroneous thoughts are replaced by loving thoughts in the therapist and in his family, relatives, and ancestors, they are replaced too in the client and in her family, relatives, and ancestors. The updated Ho'oponopono process allows the therapist to work directly with the original source who can transmute erroneous thoughts into love.
So now what does this mean? That today, if you have a particular thinking process, it can be coming down the lineage. So if you clear something in you, you actually clear your lineage going back and also your lineage going forward. That's why it becomes so important for us to actually transcend these depleting things that we have, the belief systems that we need to get over. This was really clearly seen in the family constellation processes. We are going to have another talk by Devanshi because people really appreciated that family constellation talk, but it comes out very clearly in the family constellation process.
Her eyes dry up, the trenches around her mouth soften. She smiles, relief dawning across her face. I don't know why, but I'm feeling better. I do not know why either. Really, life is a mystery except to love. Who knows all? I just let it go at that and just thank love from whom all blessings flow.
So at the end of the day, how does it happen when I'm cleaning myself, it clears the other person? Of course, now because of science, we know resonance and all that. Ancient people knew that, okay, this works, but they didn't have a technology to actually show that, yes, this works in this manner. So he's very clear. She feels better after he clears himself. It feels much better, right? To the patient also. So the doctor is not treating the patient. The doctor is actually clearing himself. That's why clearing ourselves, what we say, jhadu marna, is very, very important.
In problem solving using the updated Ho'oponopono process, The therapist first takes his identity, his mind, and connects it up with the original source, what others call love or God. With the connection in place, the therapist then appeals to love to correct the erroneous thoughts within him that are actualizing as the problem for himself first and for the client second. The appeal is a process of repentance and forgiveness on the part of the therapist. I am sorry for the erroneous thoughts within me that have caused the problem for me and for the client. Please forgive me.
So now when you look at Shimangla, you have to slow down a little bit. Now, what is he saying over here? The therapist is making a connection with what others called love or God or the original source. So the therapist is going into an altered state of consciousness and then making an appeal in that state of consciousness to get rid and asking for help to get rid of the erroneous thoughts of which are occurring in himself as well as the client. Okay, so this becomes very important. He is shifting his state of consciousness and then doing what he is doing. Now, this is something that when we read it first, we really missed it. But now it's become so apparent. Now, when we are using the reball, what are we doing? We are going into an altered state and then sending an intent, putting an appeal over there. And this is exactly how the reball also works. Okay. But over here, of course, he's using some other processes.
In response to the repentance and forgiveness appeal of the therapist, love begins the mystical process of transmuting the erroneous thoughts. In this spiritual correction process, love first neutralizes the erroneous emotions that have caused the problem, be they resentment, fear, anger, blame, or confusion. In the next step, love then releases the neutralized energies from the thoughts, leaving them in a state of void, of emptiness, of true freedom.
So what is happening now? The energy which is blocked, which is creating the problem, is transmuted and brought back into the system, leaving a void where that energy was stuck so that love can fill up that area. This is exactly what happens, and I'm seeing it happen every day in the human biofield tuning process. We come to a block, we set an intent over there, we have a discussion, the energy dissipates and we bring it back into the system. So this is exactly what he's saying over here, that the spirit transmutes that blocked energy and creates a space for something else to come in that space.
With the thoughts empty, free love then fills them with itself. The result, the therapist is renewed, restored in love. As the therapist is renewed, so is the client and all involved in the problem. Where there was despair in the client, there is love. Where there was darkness in her soul, there is now the healing light of love.
So everyone connected with the situation is clear.
The self-identity through Ho'oponopono training teaches people who they are and how they can solve problems moment to moment. And in the process, be renewed and restored in love. The training begins with a 2-hour free lecture. Attendees are given an overview of how thoughts within them actualize as spiritual, mental, emotional, physical, relational, and financial problems in their lives and in the lives of their families, relatives, ancestors, friends, neighbors, and associates. In the weekend training, students are taught what a problem is, where the problems are located, how to solve different kinds of problems using over 25 problem-solving processes, and how to really take good care of themselves. The underlying emphasis in the training is on being 100% responsible for themselves and for what happens in their lives and for solving problems effortlessly.
So, what is it? Now you are identifying the problem. So you're becoming aware of the issue, you're accepting the issue, and then you're getting tools to be able to use to sort out the problem. So this is what happens in the workshop. This is again exactly what we are doing in awareness, that we are making ourselves aware. Where are we operating from? And then we are putting a tool in place which will shift us from a depleted state of consciousness into a more holistic state of consciousness, or a more uplifting state of consciousness. So naturally, you have to first understand what is happening and accept it before you can actually solve the problem.
The wonder of the updated Ho'oponopono process is that you get to meet yourself anew each moment, and you get to appreciate more and more with each application of the process the renewing miracle of love.
So ultimately, what are all these processes about? They are all about making yourself aware of yourself. Basically, that's the game that we are playing.
I operate my life and my relationships according to the following insights. Number one, the physical universe is an actualization of my thoughts. Two, if my thoughts are cancerous, they create a cancerous physical reality. Three, if my thoughts are perfect, they create a physical reality brimming with love. 4, I am 100% responsible for creating my physical universe the way it is. I'm 100% responsible for correcting the cancerous thoughts that create a diseased reality. 6, there is no such thing as out there. Everything exists as thoughts in my mind.
So this is something that is again being said in the Gita also. It's being said in so many of the books that we are reading. We are the creators of our reality. We are the creators of our world, and we are 100% responsible for whatever is happening around us. So if our thoughts are, whatever we are thinking is going to manifest. So we need to be aware of what we are thinking, because that will lead to action. So in the Gita, it says that the first thing is the vasana. The vasana will lead to a desire. The desire will lead to a thought. The thought will lead to a action, and the action will result in your reality. So what are you thinking makes your reality manifest. So over here, he is very clearly saying that the physical universe is an actualization of my thoughts. So my thoughts are creating my reality. If my thoughts are depleting, then that is what is going to manifest in my life. If my thoughts are uplifting, that is what is going to manifest. I am 100% responsible for creating my physical universe the way it is. I am 100% responsible to correct it also, because if I'm 100% responsible in creating it, I'm 100% responsible in rectifying it. And again, the last statement, but not the least, is there is no such thing as out there. Everything exists within us. So he says everything exists as thoughts in my mind. What do you perceive? Things that you resonate with, things that you become aware of, and that is what your reality is. So our reality is very different from the reality experienced by a fly, or a reality experienced by a bat, or a reality experienced by an ant. Now, whose reality is real? The ants, the bats, or the flies, or our reality? It is all subjective. It depends on your perception. So everything that is existing is actually being created by you.
Mark and I read the article and wondered which author was the therapist we sought. Charles Brown, or this Dr. Hewlin? We didn't know. We couldn't tell. And who was this Morna the article mentioned? And what was self-identity? Oh, please. We read on. We found a few more articles that shed light on what we sought. They included revealing statements such as self-identity through Ho'oponopono sees each problem not as an ordeal, but as an opportunity. Problems are just replayed memories of the past showing up to give us one more chance to see with the eyes of love and to act from inspiration.
So, what is he saying? Whenever something happens in our life, which is a stressful situation for us, it is an opportunity because the universe is wanting to teach us a lesson or give us an opportunity to transcend that what is happening with us, right? The universe is very, very benevolent. It is just providing us the space to experience what we had decided before we were born that we want to experience, right? So he says over here, it is just a memory being replayed and giving us a chance to see with love. Now, where is love on the grid? It's on the right side of the grid. When we are feeling the problem as a problem, we are on the left side of the grid. So any problem is actually giving us a chance to shift from the left side to the right side of the grid. Okay, I'm just converting it into the grid method because I find that it is very easy to really understand and grasp what we are talking about when we look at it from the grid perspective.
I was curious, but I wasn't getting it. Problems were replayed memories of the past? Huh? What were those authors trying to explain? How did this whatever help the therapist who healed people? Who was this therapist anyway? I found yet another article, this one by a reporter named Daryl Sifford, who wrote about meeting the creator of this Ho'opo whatever process. Her name is Morna, and she's a kahuna or keeper of the secrets. What this Morna does to help heal people is appeal to the divine creator of our choice through the divinity that is within each person, who is really an extension of the divine creator.
So, so we all have that spark within us. We are a part of the divine. So aham Brahma Asmi, right? So we are a part of that divine. So what is she doing, saying over here? That we heal the people by making a connection with the divine so that that divinity can allow what needs to manifest within us to manifest.
Maybe you understand that. I didn't at the time. Neither did Mark. Apparently, this Morna said some words like a prayer that helped people heal. I made a mental note to locate that prayer, but right now I was going on a different mission to find the therapist and learn his method for healing. My eagerness to know more and to meet this shaman therapist was becoming more and more exciting. Even though Mark and I really needed to be back at our booth at the convention, we let it slide so we could continue our quest. Based on the articles and website, we guessed the therapist we wanted to find was named Ihalekala Hewlin, some first name. I had no idea how to pronounce it, let alone spell it. I didn't know how to locate him either. The site didn't give any contact information for him. Mark and I tried to Google him, but turned up nothing. We began to wonder if this ethereal therapist was a fiction or retired or even deceased. I closed my laptop and went back to the convention, but the adventure had begun.
So yeah. So now a thought is put into their minds to find the therapist. So the search naturally begins.
Finding the world's most unusual therapist. Who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awaits. Carl Jung.
So this is beautiful, right? When you are looking outside, it's just a creation. Jo apne in our thing we say Maya. Where is the real truth? It is within yourself. So we have to look within. When we are looking at out of body experiences also, William Bullman clearly says it's a journey within. It's not a journey outside. We say that out of body is, going out there, but it's actually a journey within, which he clearly says at the end of the day.
Back in my home outside of Austin, Texas, I couldn't shake the story of the therapist who cured people without seeing them. What was his method? Who was he? Was the story a hoax? Because of my 20-some years in personal development, mostly chronicled in my books, Adventures Within and The Attractor Factor, it shouldn't be a surprise to anyone that I needed to know more. I've always been curious. I spent 7 years with a controversial guru. I interviewed self-help mentors and sages, authors and speakers, mystics and magicians of the mind. Because of the success of my current books, I could now call many of the leading experts in the field of human development my friends. But I couldn't shake the story of this therapist. This was different. This was a breakthrough. I needed to know more. So I again went searching. In the past, I've hired private detectives to locate missing people. I did it when I wrote about advertising genius Bruce Barton for my book, The 7 Lost Secrets of Success. I was ready to hire a professional to find Dr. Hewlin too when an odd thing happened. One day, while doing yet another search for Dr. Hewlin, I found his name associated with a website. I had no idea why this didn't surface before in earlier searches, but there it was. I couldn't find a phone number, but I could hire Dr. Hewlin for a personal consultation by email. It seemed like an odd way to do therapy, but in these internet times, anything goes. Figuring that would be the best way to get a foot in his door, I sent him an email through the website. I was excited beyond words. I could hardly wait for his reply. What would he say? Would he write something enlightening? Would he heal me by email? I could barely sleep that night. I was so eager to hear from him. By the next morning, he responded, writing, Joe, thank you for requesting a consultation. Consultations are usually done via the internet or by fax. The person requesting the consultation provides information for me about the nature of the consultation. That is, a description of a problem or for concern. I process and meditate on the information for divine directions. Then I communicate back to the person via email what I received in meditation. While I was out for lunch today, a lawyer client from Hawaii faxed me information to look at. After processing it, I will get back to him what I received from divinity in meditation. Information about the nature of my work can be gained at www.ho'oponopono.org. Please feel free to contact me to see what will work for you. I wish you peace beyond all understanding. Peace of I. Haligala Yulen, PhD.
So what is happening here now? He is going into an altered state. He is getting information for and on behalf of the client, and then informing the client that this is what is the process involved. Okay, so this is something that we are also doing when we are going into the one breath technique, etc. Now, of course, he has definitely perfected the kind of tuning that he needs to have with the client and the connection with divinity to make something manifest.
His sentence is so beautiful. I wish you peace beyond all understanding.
Correct, absolutely. So peace beyond understanding is that you don't understand it, but you're peaceful. Huh?
Yes.
Beautiful.
It was an odd email. He talks to divinity. Lawyers hire him. I didn't know enough yet to pass judgment on him or his methods, but I sure wanted to know more. I instantly decided to hire him for a consultation by email. It would cost $150. To me, that was nothing. I was finally going to hear from the long sought after miracle working psychologist. I was excited.
So what I have found is that many times, we start looking at now $150, that is 10,000 rupees, right? Now he's been searching for this person for a long time. Now, since he has found him, that $150 is really nothing for him. Okay. Now, this is where we start going wrong. In the normal society, your personal growth, according to me, is much more important than any other material process or material possession that you get into. So I would say that people need to start investing in their own growth. This is something that has not been happening in India. I know for a fact that there are many people who attend the programs, these programs that I keep attending, many of them actually take out a loan to attend the programs. Okay. Over here, we treat these programs as a luxury, not as a requirement. And this is where that distinction is. And that is why the West is overtaking us in all these kinds of processes that we are doing. Okay, so this becomes very important. And according to me, this is something that we need to inculcate in our children, that they need to attend such, mind enhancing programs. I'm not saying attend only spirituality programs, any kind of training, at least 4 times a year, they must attend to enhance their knowledge and experience. And this is something which is ingrained in the Western society, where I've said many times that the excursion workshop, the Monroe other programs, the HeartMath Institute programs, these are eligible for C's, that is continued education. Today, if a person who's a licensed practitioner in America and in Europe, if they don't do C's, their license is cancelled. But over here, unfortunately, what happens is that the guy has done some kind of a degree 35 years back, and his degree is still valid. And there is no process by which he has to do continued education. Some people, of course, they go to conferences and they constantly upgrade themselves, but most people don't do it. And that is where the problem lies. Okay. So now he's saying $150. It is nothing to him. Why? He'll just do it. And $150, I'm talking about maybe 15, 20 years back. Today, that amount is much more, but he's willing to pay that. Why? Because he wants that particular connection and that particular experience.
I gave some thought to what I should ask him about. I'm doing pretty well in my life. I've got the books, the successes, the cars, homes, life partner, health, and happiness most people seek. I had lost 80 pounds and was feeling great, but I also had maybe 15 pounds left to release. Since I was still struggling with weight loss issues, I decided to ask Dr. Hewlin for a consultation about that. I did. He responded within 24 hours, writing this email to me. Thank you, Joe, for your reply. When I looked, I heard, he's fine. Talk to your body, say to it, I love you the way you are. Thank you for being with me. If you have felt abused by me in any way, please forgive me. Stop now and then during the course of the day. Visit your body. Day visit with your body. Let the visit be one of love and thankfulness. Thank you for conveying me about. Thank you for breathing, for the beating of our heart.
So,
See you.
so what is very clear here, right? He says right in the first sentence, thank you, Joe, for your reply. When I looked, I heard. So when I looked, you see, now Joe has asked him a question. So based on that question, he's going into an altered state and he's looking at the situation. When he's looking at the situation, he heard it, he is fine, right? That means Joe's body is fine. He doesn't really need to do anything. And in this entire paragraph, he's talking about appreciation and gratitude. How many times do we say thank you to our body? This is the vehicle in which our consciousness exists. And if the body breaks down, then your consciousness, I mean, of course, can do something about it, but you are hampered if the body is not functioning properly. But how many times do we say thank you to our body? Right? So he is very clearly saying here, stop during the day. Take some time and say thank you to your body. Thank you for breathing. Thank you for eating. Thank you for digesting. Thank you for your heart to breathe. Thank you to your arms and legs for moving. So there's so much to be grateful for, right? So he's saying, take a break, pause, and say thank you. Appreciate your body.
See your body as a partner in your life, not as a servant. Talk to your body as you would talk to a little child. Be friends with it. It likes lots and lots of water to work better with itself. You may feel that it is hungry, yet it may be telling you that it is thirsty.
So now, so we treat the body as a servant. We have to treat the body as a partner. And one thing is making it very clear here, that is that the body may be thirsty, not hungry. This is very well brought out in the books that I think we read in our book reading separately over here. Dr. Batman Gilich, your body is thirsty. It is not hungry, right? So now water is very much required. We are 70% water, and water is extremely important for our well-being. All of us, according to me, do not have enough water. So you have to monitor the water that you are having. So he says very clearly, you may feel that it is hungry, yet it may be telling you that it is thirsty. So first you'll get a thirst impulse. And that when you don't adhere to that, then you will start feeling hungry, because there is moisture, there's water in all the food that you eat also. So the body is actually craving for the water, not for the food. Okay, so when you start feeling hungry out of time, one of the things that you can do is have a glass of water. And generally speaking, we saw this in the Batman Gilich books also, as well as in the life system trainings and the books that we have in life system. Ideally, you should be having 100 ml of water every half an hour. So instead of having 1 liter of water at one shot, have 100 liters spaced out. So it gives the body the time to absorb that water.
Drinking blue solar water transmutes memories, replaying problems in the subconscious mind, the child, and helps the body to let go and let God. Get a blue glass bottle, fill it up with tap water, cork the top of the bottle or wrap the top in cellophane. Place the bottle in the sun or under an incandescent lamp for at least 1 hour. Drink the water. Rinse your body with the water after bathing or showering. Use the blue solar water to cook with, wash your clothes with, and for whatever you use water for. You can make your coffee or hot chocolate with blue solar water.
So
Your email has been the feel of elegant simpleness, a gift beyond compare. Perhaps we can visit again as a fellow traveler, clearing our way homeward. I wish you peace beyond all understanding. Peace of I, Ihalia Kala.
So what is he saying over here, right? So there are 2 or 3 things that he has mentioned in this mail. Number 1, love your body. Okay, say thank you to your body. Drink enough water, right? One of the reasons why we become obese is that we don't have enough water. So the body craves the food. If we have enough water, then the craving for the food will go down. And the third tool that he's given here is drink blue solar water. So take a blue bottle, put it in the sun, have it, as well as use it for cooking and bathing and other things. If you look at the vibratory frequencies, then infrared, okay, is vibrating at a slower rate, and ultraviolet is vibrating at a higher rate. So now anything that needs creation has to have ultraviolet before it goes into infrared. And this is what we've seen in biogeometry, that whenever you draw a line, right, on the side that you start writing from has violet, and the side where you end has infrared. So what he's attempting to do here is to get the violet frequency into our system so that we can start vibrating at a higher frequency.
While I enjoyed the peacefulness of his message, I was left wanting more. Was this how he gave consultations? Was this how he healed those people in the mental hospital? If so, something was seriously missing. I doubt that most people would have accepted his email as the final verdict on a weight loss issue. Telling me you're fine isn't exactly a solution to anything. I wrote back asking for more information. Here's what he wrote in reply.
So many times what happens, right? He is actually fine. He doesn't need to lose that 15 kilos, but he's not willing to accept it, right? Now, Dr. Hugh Lin has gone into that altered state and actually figured out that he's fine. But, that is where that understanding comes, that being able to understand that frequency, that feel, that tasir is what we need to get into our state. Many times because of the small mind, the conscious mind, the ego, most of us are ego driven all the time. We don't understand the deeper stuff which is coming from the whole mind. So what has Dr. Hugh done? He's gone into that altered state, figured out he's fine, and told him that. Now it's up to Joe to accept it or not to accept it.
Joe, peace begins with me. My problems are memories replaying in my subconscious. My problems have nothing to do with anyone or any place or any situation. They are what Shakespeare so poetically noted in one of his sonnets as 4 bemoaned moons.
So,
When I
so over here, what is he saying? My problems are memories replaying in my subconscious. So most of the problems you have, you will find a similar problem as what you're facing through your life. Okay. So they are basically patterns which are replaying, and patterns replay from memory because you get attracted to the same or similar situations.
When I experience memories replaying problems, I have choice. I can stay engaged to them, or I can petition divinity to free them up through transmutation. thus restoring my mind to its original state of zero, of void, of being memory free. When I am memory free, I am my divine self, as divinity created me in its exact likeness.
So, what is he saying over here? If I have a
Bhaiya, I
problem,
could not understand. I
I'm-
could not
I'm explaining.
understand from beginning. From my problem, I could not understand. My problem are memories.
So, 1 second. So, what are we saying over here, right? He says, when I experience memories replaying my problem, I have a choice. So, what is he first saying? That any problem that you're experiencing is something that is being replayed by your memory. Because when you start looking at your life, you will find that there are patterns, and you will find the same pattern keeps repeating in your life over and over and over and over again, right? So now where are those patterns playing from? They are playing from your memory, right? Now, when I find that a pattern is playing, I have two choices. One is allow the pattern to replay, and the other is to put a process in place which will allow me to transcend the pattern. So over here, he says that going into an altered state, what he is saying over here, I can petition divinity. So we are changing it over here, and we are saying, what do you mean by petition divinity? Going into an altered state of consciousness and asking for help over there. So we are going into the F10 state, or we are going into the F12 state, or the F21 state, etc., and asking for help over there to allow us or help us to transcend the pattern. And when we are transcending the pattern, that the space the pattern was taking up gets removed. So when that gets removed, there is no longer any pattern. I come into stillness. I become zero. So there's a shift from keeping on repeating the pattern to coming to a zero state where there is nothing happening, and I allow freedom, or I allow space for something else to manifest in my life instead of the pattern which has been repeating constantly. Is that clear? Anju, is that clear?
But Bhaiya, this when these patterns are repeating, we are going in the altered state. You are saying, and asking for the help, or we are putting a process in the place.
Yeah. So when you put a process
like if we are just having any issue, if we are doing a biofield tuning.
Yes.
So we are asking for a help. So what will happen? Again,
so 1 second. So when we do biofield tuning, what is happening in the biofield tuning, right? You're not telling me what problems you have.
Yes.
So we are going into your field and we come to a block.
Yeah.
Which is the result of a pattern.
Okay. Okay.
Now we are telling you that, see, this is what we are observing in the pattern. And using intuition, which is a divine download, we are telling you that, see, this is the process you need to put in place so that you can transcend the pattern.
Okay.
Are you understanding what
transcend the pattern? Okay.
So
right.
what is he saying? That when you find that there is a pattern which is operating out of memory, you need to petition the divinity, or go into an altered state of consciousness and figure out how you can transcend it, which is exactly what we are doing in biofield tuning also.
Okay. Okay. Understood, bhai.
Yeah.
When my subconscious is in zero state, it is timeless, boundless, infinite, deathless. When memories dictate, it is stuck in time, place, problems, uncertainty, chaos, thinking, coping, and managing in allowing memories to rule. I give up clarity of mind along with my alignment with divinity. No alignment, no inspiration. No inspiration, no purpose.
So when we are in the zero state, we are automatically on the right side of the grid. right? Otherwise, most of the time when we are ego driven, ego always operates out of memory. We are on the left side of the grid. So if you see all these things, stuck in time is on the left side. Place of problems, again, left side. Uncertainty, left side. Chaos, left side. Thinking too much, left side. Attempting to cope and manage rather than transcend, again, left side, right? So when I go into zero, I clear my mind so that I can get onto the right side of the grid.
Zero state means no thought, right?
So it's a state of, yeah, you could say that it's a state of no thought. That's one of the ways of looking at it. But it's not exactly that, because in that state you're connected. See, when we are going into people who've experienced F10 and F12, when you first time you experience F12, literally everyone has told us that we don't want to come back. When you go into 12, you don't want to come back because that state feels very, very familiar. That stillness which is there in that state, there is no thought, right? So it creates an opportunity for inspiration to come. Otherwise, our mind is so cluttered that there is no space for inspiration to come in. We are so connected with the physicality of what is happening around us that we don't have space to allow that divinity to come in.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, thank you.
In working with people, I'm always petitioning divinity to transmute memories within my subconscious that replay as my perceptions, my thoughts, my reactions to them. From zero state, divinity then suffuses my subconscious and conscious minds with inspirations, allowing my soul to experience people as divinity experiences them.
So, Shivangla, you have to come closer to your mic. It's cracking up again. Okay, so now what is happening? Whenever he's working with people, he is always petitioning divinity to transmute the problem and give him inspiration as to how the problem can be sorted out. So this is exactly what we are doing when we are using the one breath technique, when we are doing biofield tuning also. As I just explained to Anju, that when we come to a block in the biofield tuning process, an inspiration comes that, okay, this is happening because of this. And what we are feeling, or the download is coming, that this is the way that you need to deal with this, or you need to make yourself aware that this is happening. Most of the time, because we are operating from memory, the same thing is repeating over and over again, and we don't even realize that this is happening. The moment you bring your awareness and consciousness to it, and you get a tool in place to be able to transmute it, it starts to get transmuted.
In working with divinity, the memories that get transmuted in my subconscious are transmuted in the subconscious of all minds, not just of people, but of the mineral, animal, and vegetable kingdoms and all forms of existence, seen and unseen. How wonderful to realize that peace and freedom begin with me. Peace of I, Ihale Kala.
So again, when the butterfly flutters its wings in Brazil, it affects the entire universe. So if I'm clearing myself, I'm clearing the entire universe.
Well, I still didn't get it. I decided to ask if I could work with him to write a book on what he does. It seemed like a logical way to get him to spill the beans about his method and to learn about his years working in the mental hospital. I said it would help others. I said I would do most of the work. I sent my email to him and waited. He replied saying, Joe, peace begins with me. Humanity has accumulated addictive memories of perceiving others as needing help, assistance. Self-identity through Ho'oponopono, SITH is about releasing these memories within our subconscious that replay perceptions that say that problems are out there, not within.
So what is he saying over here? Okay, he is saying very clearly that people have accumulated these memories, that everything is outside us and not within us. But what he's implying is actually the problem is within us. And we have seen this over and over again. Whatever the situation that is happening around you, you change how the situation is occurring to you. You change your perception about the situation, and the effect of the situation totally transforms and totally transmutes. But that is what we need to be aware of. How are we perceiving that situation? That is what the important thing is over here.
Each of us came in with our 4 bemoaned moons already made. Problem memories have nothing to do with people, places, or situations. They are opportunities to be set free.
So again, what is happening? These patterns are binding us. They are gripping us in this situation, in this conscious awareness, in this 3D reality. The more we release them, the more freedom we will have. Robert Monroe always said, we need to get escape velocity. These patterns are like rocks in our backpack. They're totally holding us down. We need to get rid of them so that we can get freedom.
The whole purpose of SITH is to restore one's self-identity, one's natural rhythm with divine intelligence. In re-establishing this original rhythm, zero opens and the soul is suffused with inspirations. Historically, people who take SITH want to share the information with others with the intent that it'll help them. Getting out of the I can help them mode is a tough one. Explaining SITH to people on the whole does not free up problem memories. Doing SITH does.
Just finish.
If we are willing to clean up our 4 bemoaned moons, we will be fine, and everyone and everything else will be fine too. Hence, we discourage people from sharing SITH with others. Instead, we encourage them to give up their stuff of others, setting themselves free first and all others second.
So,
Peace begins with me, peace of I, Ihalia Kala.
So what does he mean over here, right? The point here is that we are out to help others, but the main thing is that you need to help yourself at the end of the day. And this is where the fallacy lies, that if you're doing a program, you are wanting to help the other to do a program. It doesn't work. You're actually helping yourself, and you can observe the shifts, but you're not there to help the other guy, or hold the hand of the other guy to shift. The guy has to do the work themselves. So all of us have to work on ourselves. This is the game that he is playing over here.
Should we stop here?
Finish it.
Well, I still didn't understand. I again wrote back asking if I could talk to him by phone. I said I wanted to interview him again. He agreed. We set an appointment to talk on the following Friday, a few days away. I was so excited that I wrote my friend Mark Ryan and told him the news that I was finally going to speak to the mysterious Hawaiian shaman he had told me about years earlier. He too was excited. We were both curious about what we would learn. Little did we know what we would experience.
Right. So we stop here now.